I saw this on a TikTok and it's horrible, but I'll just share it. It was someone they were kind of making a joke about how Beyonce can do all these things. And then they're like, she has a team. She has someone helping her with the kids. She has someone helping her with her hair,
Yep.
makeup, advertising, or whatever. And so I've kind of leaned into the concept of having a team. So I tell everybody, if you can have a coach, you should have a coach on whatever goals it is that you're working on.
Absolutely.
And if you can have a therapist, you should have a therapist
Yeah.
to be able to help you navigate those things. So I surround myself with a team that way.
Nice.
And then with friends that will really support the same type of self care,
Yeah,
right? That they'll be like, when I'm working and I'm going at it, they're like, yeah, that's great. And then they will ask, so what are you doing to take care of yourself? When's the last time you took a day off?
for
Like
sure.
our staff really kind of covers each other in that way. So those are kind of some of the things that happen there. I will also say that I've taken really proactive steps to give a couple of people license in my life to pull my card.
Okay,
To
talk to me about it.
say yeah, to say, "Yeah, yeah, you've been working, I'm gonna take a day off soon thing doesn't work."
Yeah.
Or, "Hey, you're actually not I know you're working a lot, but that doesn't mean you're working effectively or getting things
Yeah,
done." You know, even the license of going, "Have when was the last time you saw your therapist?"
yeah.
Or, "When was the last time you took some time that was just family?"
Yeah, the accountability
Yeah.
check. I think that's huge, man. I actually anyone within my circle, I hopefully they know that they have the grace to do that because I want to be held accountable in all regards.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Profitable Cleaner, a podcast on commercial cleaning sales and entrepreneurship.
Domingo, thanks for joining me here today, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, like we were talking about right before we hit record, I had the chance to meet you at a Chamber of Commerce event
Yep.
that you hosted. And I was seeing your organization and hearing you speak, and I was like, man, there's a lot of substance to Domingo, and
Thank you.
invited you on. So here we are. So maybe give everyone listening a little bit of background on who you are and what you do.
I'll start with what I do. So I run an organization called Rooted 303, and we have a community approach to helping people with mental health and substance misuse. And so by community approach means we just go more into the community and create spaces where people can have trust and rapport and get the help they need versus necessarily coming for it first.
Awesome. So who is Domingo?
Who is Domingo? That's deep. Really, I'm just somebody that wants to make a difference. And I think that's been my passion for a while. I just want to be part of the process, be part of people's stories to some degree, and see improvement. I was raised in Florida for the most part, and my background is deep poverty, deep addiction, just kind of generational issues.
Yeah.
And at some point in my 20s, I was impacted by several people, one of them being a teenager in the foster care system. And I decided that I wanted to be part of the difference. So just jumped into everything I could.
So let's start there because I knew, like, when I heard more about your organization that there was a story attached to kind of the community service
Mhm.
that you do. I'm curious to kind of like said, okay, generational poverty, addiction just sounds like struggle.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me a little bit about that and then how that played into what you're doing now.
So from that perspective, it's kind of funny. I think you can get used to almost anything. So as I was growing up in that, I don't think I even visualized it or understood it as a problem. It was just the way life was. And since it was that life for all of the people around me, we were in the same boat. It wasn't a comparison to be like, this is a problem. That shouldn't be
Mm,
happening. It's just what it was. And so at some point in my 20s, when I could identify, wow, that has actually caused some additional problems in my life. Now I have to stop some of my partying because it's not healthy and it's breaking things in my life. Or I want to progress in a career and I wasn't actually set up for that well. Then I identified, hey, I want to do different than that. I don't want to live like that and I don't have to. And so started to make some changes around that. Kind of white knuckled it. I didn't
yeah.
go through a program.
Yeah.
So that's always like the follow up question. They're like, "Did you go through a 12 step or did you go through rehab?" No, I just kind of white knuckled it because I didn't know there was another way to do it, and
Yeah.
figured it out from there.
So then what brought you to Colorado?
So a couple things that led up to that. Part of my finding myself was service. So I started to volunteer at different places, and one of the places I volunteered was a home that prepared children for foster homes.
Okay.
So the kids have gone through so much problems, so much trauma and damage that they needed help to be able to be in a foster family. And so I wanted to volunteer and I jumped into that program without knowing what it was, if I'm honest, and was in it to win it. And I met a kid there who was just turning 14 and I started to mentor him. And for him, he wanted just a few things. And one of them was to go to church with someone. And at the time, I wasn't a believer of any kind. And so I didn't want to. And I fought him left and right. So for 4 months, he would just bring it up. And there were a couple things he said. And I promise this leads to Colorado.
Sure.
But a couple things he said was, I just want to go to church with someone who's not paid to be in my life. Because
Mm.
everyone in his life was either a group home manager, a foster parent, which is paid, case managers. And they did take him to church. He wanted to go with a friend. So he often asked me how much I got paid, and I would joke about it. And he was always just kind in that respect. He had behavioral issues. He's 14. But he made the statement that he didn't know why, he knows that God loves him, but didn't know why people didn't.
Mm.
Okay. So at that point, I kind of broke a little bit and I'm like, fine, I'll take you to church. He pulled a list of churches out of his pocket. He had been waiting for that moment. So I want to say he manifested it and said, these are the churches I like. Check any of them out. I'll go with you to any of them. And so in taking him to a church program, I ended up attending services to help him volunteer because he wanted to volunteer. I ended up volunteering. I basically learned the church inside and out. At some point, experienced God and changed my life. And in Colorado, the opportunity came up to help some friends start a church. So I figured that was so impactful in my process with him and for myself that I felt the go ahead to come here and give that a start. And that's something that I helped start, and it's thriving somewhere else. I've left a couple years ago to focus on Rooted 303, but because of a 14-year-old kid, the dynamic of my life changed completely.
What would you, sounds like that 14-year-old kid was placed in your life from God. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that 100%. There's
What?
divine moments.
Yeah. Divine moments, man. It's awesome that you're aware of those divine moments. I think those happen in a lot of people's lives that we're sometimes not even aware of.
Yep.
Where is that once 14-year-old kid now? Do you know?
Yeah, he just got married in February. And so anyone who's gone through the foster system or knows people who have, it's a struggle to build family and have those desires
Yeah.
and needs for a family, but still trying to reconcile the tools that maybe you weren't given through the process of not having a healthy family, which sometimes you're in a healthy family and you don't get those skills. But it took him a little while to experience life, but he's doing well and has employment, has a relationship now, looking at building a family. And so,
I,
yeah.
I love that, man. So along the way, like, how would you classify you as a professional? Let's start there.
Me as a professional.
Like,
So
obviously,
my
you're a business
actual,
owner, all of this, but like,
yeah.
do you have a background in counseling? Like,
So my background is actually leadership and development. So I
okay,
worked for corporate America for an insurance company for 20 years, and I ran virtual teams, training people across the country on different things. And I had a team of about 15 people underneath me that would go and do work in their different departments. And so the focus there was heavily on self-leadership, group deployment, and innovation, just moving through that.
so how did that kind of transfer and evolve into Rooted 303?
I think that molded almost everything we do at Rooted. If I'm honest, our approach is heavy training. So every week we're doing some kind of training components, whether they're reminders, whether they're mental health, leadership, types of sales, because what we do is all voluntary. Clients come to us voluntarily. So we have to be able to explain and pitch what they would get out of working with us.
Sure.
And so building that rapport and trust. So leadership and training is a heavy part of our organization, how we thrive and how we survive.
And if you were to kind of summarize what Rooted does, like, I know you say community outreach, leadership and development. I think when people hear that, it still sounds very broad
Yeah.
because those are such buzzwords, especially in like the Instagram influencer world now.
100%.
How would you more specifically like summarize like what Rooted does for your clients?
It's going to sound really Pollyanna, but we help clients reclaim their lives.
Okay,
And so,
cool.
whatever that looks like for them, we have coaches that will work with people from where they're at right now in this moment to whatever goals they want to obtain, whether it's employment, family reunification, substance recovery, mental health support. We also have counselors that'll do that deeper dive into working with some root causes and some whys and working through those emotional competencies with people. And then we have support groups of all kinds. So for us, we want to help you rebuild and reclaim your life from whatever happened.
That's powerful. And I think there's a lot of reclaiming that needs to be done, especially in today's society, man. When you say clients voluntarily find you guys, what exactly like does that mean? I guess when you say they voluntarily find you guys.
Yeah. So kind of give you the two different landscapes. We have a culture where if people need help, they can go to a recovery center, they can seek out mental health support. They might be court mandated into programs. Different people come into receiving help, mental health support or recovery support in that way. We've designed our community to go after the demographic that isn't coming for help right away.
Okay.
We
Talk
wanna
to me
get to
about
them
that.
before they're necessarily, broken down or arrested or
Yeah, sure.
into a place where their life is shattered. So when I say voluntarily, we go into the community and we start community groups and support groups in areas where we know people need help
Okay.
to build trust and rapport to help them bridge into services, whether it's with us or not. A quick statistic that has kind of formed us a little bit. In 2023, they did a study across Colorado and they found almost 800,000 people that said they feel like they have substance misuse issues or mental health issues. 30,000 of them are teenagers. 93% said they wouldn't get help.
Really?
And so the people that we see currently in the system in rehabilitation centers, that's not them. So that's this whole entire other population that for either stigma or bad experiences or fear haven't gone on to get help.
Yeah.
So we create a space where we can build that support so they can identify the help they need.
So when you say you identify these places or areas, people that you think aren't aware of these services or might not want to have these conversations on getting help, how do you identify that demographic?
So we go to communities that we know are underserved or underrepresented. So
For
we go,
example,
for example, housing first communities
yeah.
where they'll provide housing for people who have been unhoused, either homeless or in unsafe situations, and they'll give them a place to live.
Hmm.
And so we partner with those organizations to provide mental health programming
Okay.
to say, hey, we know that you've come off the street. We know you've experienced things, whether they're addiction or not. We know there's some things still going on. So we'll create support in those areas to help build trust. And we do job training programs as well. So there's a couple job training programs that we go to specifically because we know that they're helping people who are either unhoused or have been unhoused or have struggled in different circumstances in life.
Man, I love that you're saying this. So, okay. Oh, we're going to go deep on this topic here.
Okay, let's
So,
go deep.
it sounds like you probably work with a lot of people that have struggled with like homelessness. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to your thoughts, especially here in Denver. We have a huge unhoused and homeless crisis, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
I'm 36 years old. So growing up, I grew up between Littleton and Denver. We saw people on the streets, right? But not like today. Not like today. You don't see camps on the side of Santa Fe and Evans, like all of this. You hear the mayor of Denver talking about more housing and all of this. And I think I feel so passionate about this. I feel like I could write a book on it. I don't believe housing is the biggest crisis when it comes to people being homeless.
Cool.
When you hear that,
What do you think the biggest roadblock or
I believe some of it is generational, but I actually believe the biggest problem of it is addiction. If I were to narrow it down to one thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious to your thoughts on that though.
I'll agree with you. I think there's always something else.
Sure.
So homelessness by itself is kind of weird to say that's the only issue,
Yeah.
even though the face of homelessness is really different now. So you have people with mental health issues, addiction issues, and they'll usually go together
Yeah.
because you're living in the street.
Yeah.
But there's also a huge demographic of people that are unhoused because they couldn't make ends meet. They didn't know
Yeah.
how to manage finances. So the generational issues
Yeah.
that have led down, like I can put you in a house, but you won't be able to keep a job or pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Or
And
keep the
yep.
house.
And so I agree with you. I think that it is more mental health or addiction related. And the housing, if it can't support that, they won't stay in the housing long.
All right, I know you guys are wondering, how can we keep our cleaning crews engaged and informed and it doesn't have to feel like a struggle? With Team Engine, you can now automate messages, update teams in real time, and bridge language gaps with their built-in AI-powered translations. Whether it's scheduling, last-minute changes, or sharing critical updates, Team Engine keeps your workforce connected and productive. Say goodbye to miscommunication and hello to smoother operations. Visit teamengine.io to get started today.
So glad you said that. So do you kind of being in your seat, do you see a shift, at least at the state level happening? Because you hear about more housing,
Yeah.
but I don't hear a lot about more services, more what you do actually. Do you see a shift happening or no?
Yeah, I think that there's quite a bit of services out there, but they're not always tag team together.
Okay.
And for one organization to provide all that support is possible, but it's also difficult.
Yeah.
And so if you are, I call it the source, if you provide the housing, provide the job, provide the counseling, provide the therapy, provide the coaching, if you provide all of that, when something goes wrong, that person leaves or loses all of that.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
ongoing support. And so then you start back over. And so there are a lot of programs that offer housing and different levels of mental health support.
Yeah.
But if they leave the program, then they lose it all. And we're talking about people with deep trauma, with deep issues that they've run into with the system itself,
Sure.
feeling used or not feeling treated well. Staff is not always trained totally up to par.
Yeah.
And so there are people that want to help, but they're helping with their limited tools because not everything's tag team together. And so we love to be the staying in our lane, right? We do
Yeah.
certain things that might bleed over and blur the lines a little bit. But for us, we love the idea of going, yeah, we will help you while you're with that recovery home or in this housing facility or in that program for work. And if that doesn't work, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're not impacted. There's not a shared, except for case management, there's not shared information because you're 100% right. I worked with several, I know I'm monologuing
No,
like a
go
villain,
for it.
but I worked with several teenagers that aged out of the foster care system.
Yeah.
Got them into housing, helped them with employment, and because of a lack of community and such deep loneliness, they'd fall into the wrong crowds, fall into addiction, used to cope,
Yeah.
and then they'd go through their problem and they'd lose everything that was built.
Yeah.
And I feel
Totally.
like we do that with adults as well. That's just a quick example because I'll even go further down. If addiction or mental health is a main underlier, then the question is, how do you get behind that to provide ongoing support?
Yes, exactly. So I guess people that listen to the show continuously probably know a little bit about my story, but for you,
Yeah.
so like, I guess I'm what they would I don't know what the statistics are now, but like a healthy statistic of the system. So like I was a member of DYS, Department of Youth Services, juvenile hall, treatment facilities from basically 14 through 18. And then when I got out, was facing like 2 to 5 years in prison. And I stayed sober and stayed clean because I was afraid of prison.
Yeah.
Not because I actually had a desire to do right at that time.
Right.
I was just afraid of going to prison to, you know,
That's fair.
yeah, to DOC now.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, fortunately, I found a 12-step program and found community as a young adult with actual adults at that time, and then found personal development and God and the whole 9 yards. And thankfully, I'm a healthy statistic.
Yeah.
But I kind of got lucky because the path kind of found me. There was no one organization or services out there.
Yeah.
I very easily could have gone the other direction and ended up in prison or, you know, with a bad crowd. And I don't think there's a lot of leadership right now that is speaking to underserved youth And underserved is it's a hard stigma
It's a hard stigma. Yeah.
because like I'm a white kid from Littleton that was underserved,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be classified as that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of where I came from.
Right.
But there was no one in the school system talking about real shit.
Right.
So I guess you said you work with a lot of youth. There's the foster care situation, which is really intense. So
Yeah.
anyone in foster care goes through some real serious shit because it's undenied. The state has now been made aware of it.
Yeah.
How do you guys reach the kids that maybe aren't in the foster but are in the in-between?
Nice. That's a great question. I think something you hit on is really important. There are underserved communities and there are minorities that are underrepresented. I'm Puerto Rican myself, and so I know where there are
Sure.
lacks in those
Of
areas.
course.
But I think that support is just not there across the board.
Yeah.
And so whether you come from a well-to-do family and they have a lot of money, but you still may not have support.
Yeah.
And throwing money at a problem doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just throwing money at it.
Yep.
And so we run into that demographic all across the board where there's help that's needed. And so we always try not to compare stories in that way of going,
Yeah. Well
you
said.
need it more than the other person needs it. If you need it, you need it.
Yeah.
And
Well
so it
said.
just might look different. Working with youth, when you mention that, we have a youth program that has been kicked up for about a year where we will work with students that have been identified as needing
Sure.
support in a
Of
high
course.
school. And we're one of the optional programs they can come to. And I'll tell you, I love that program because every time we have a teenager come through, I can say the same thing. This is not a kid with an addiction issue. This is not a kid with a mental health issue. This is a kid with a life issue.
Yeah.
It's a breakup. It's not being supported. It's feeling alone. It's not feeling part of community. It's family problems. It's a bunch of things that actually we got you, and I'm so glad you're here. But are you in a substance use place? No. You are in a preventative place because life hit you.
Hmm.
And so I think that there's a lot more of our teenage demographic that just needs to hear those things,
Yeah.
that community portion. So even in our community program, we might go through different topics and let the kids share wherever they need to, but we're actually really honest with them up front and saying, hey, this is what life looks like. We can talk about anything. And outside of this program, if something comes up, just consider us another organization or another group of people in your pocket that you can reach out to.
Hmm.
You're not alone.
I love that, man. Would you say that we're in like I don't know how to eloquently sum this up, but like a really bad epidemic of like parents? And what I mean by that is like, I feel like you asked me like, what's the one issue I think when it comes to like homeless?
Yeah.
I said addiction. I think that's an outcome of actually really a bad generation of like parents. I think there's a big lack of leadership in homes right now. And I have a different philosophy as of why. But I guess I'm curious, do you see a parenting epidemic going on right now?
Personal opinion, and I've worked
Yeah,
with
please.
kids in foster care system. I've run
Please.
kids ministries and worked with families. And so I'm not qualified from a clinical perspective,
Sure.
from a community
This is from a
perspective.
personal,
Yeah, I think every generation has a parenting
really.
issue. I think it's just a different one. I
Yeah.
think the pendulum swings so hard. I
Yeah.
think the issue we're seeing right now there's so much loneliness and lack of community
Yeah.
in raising children.
Yep.
So parents are doing it in isolation a lot and unsupported. So you see that a lot. I think we're swinging out of helicopter parents. But if you think back to Gen X, you didn't even know where the kids were at 10
Yeah.
p.m. You needed a commercial. So I feel like there's just pendulum swings
Yeah. It's
in
well
raising.
said.
I think that there was a time where kids couldn't speak their emotions. And then I think a pendulum swing and oh my gosh, everything is about the kid and everything is about the emotions. But there has to be a balance
Yeah.
on handling that. So I do feel there's a lot of family issues that lead to some of these things. I think there's an overcompensation on family leadership in a wrong way. I think
Talk to me about
the
that.
idea of being present with your family and being a support and being a guide is so important. But the idea of forcing your children to conform to something that may not be for them,
Yeah.
it is really difficult.
Yeah.
I think when they go to rebel, they rebel against that. When
No
they
doubt.
lose something, they lose that. So while I believe, spiritually, I believe in God, and this is my bend. The idea of the way we force activity into some spiritual environments or into some church environments, that way we're actually creating what the child will rebel against.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well said.
instead of having them educate them on how to experience this, how to ask questions, how to
Yeah.
navigate something.
Yeah. I think that's really well said. So, man, you did say it eloquently with the pendulum swinging to one extreme to the other. And I do think actually, if we look at our country as a whole, I think extremism with anything is actually the problem.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today.
I think community is important. And I think really where we saw a big shift is when we made, I don't care whatever religion you want to put on it, but the church used to be the center of the community. Whatever that was, whatever Catholic, Methodist, didn't matter. There was a church in a community and people went to the church for food, for resources, for whatever, and it gave them a northern compass of some sort. Now, whether they followed it or not doesn't matter. And there's a lot of bullshit with church.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be the first to say it. But in the early 90s, there was this big push to make the state the savior versus the church.
Yeah.
Right. And all of these programs and they started taking the church out of school out. And I think a lot less kids were exposed to community through the church, and they got exposed through community through school, which was through counseling, through state funded programs in the school. And I think that's really where it came dicey. I, for one, am one of those kids. I was never raised in the church.
Yeah.
I've since found a church and all of that through my story.
Right.
But I was always told, never go to a church or someone within the church for help. Go to the school counselor that's making $30,000 a year. That is do they want to be there or do they not? Now, there's great school counselors out there.
Right,
I'm not
right.
discrediting that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's great people in all areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And bad people in all areas, right? But my experience is are we setting up the image of community in a different light when we're relying on state-funded services versus communal services as in a church? I guess when you hear that, what are your thoughts?
So many. That's such a good hot topic for me. I love it.
Yeah, go for it.
So I agree with you. I think at some point the church was the center of community. And when I think of the center of community, I think of not only it was part of the town center, and when you needed something, you went to the church.
Yep.
And if there were activities that were done, they were kind of led or the church participated in so many of them. And I think that was healthy. I think that makes sense to me as a community to come together, having a hub to be able to do that through. 100% I think is powerful. I think the lacks that come out in there are not necessarily understanding the way the mind works and how psychology works, or how real self-leadership works, on how to guide people to lead their own families and not just to be a handout. So there were some gaps there,
well said.
but it created a great community and a hub to meet other people. And most of the time, those churches didn't always force conversion to participate.
Yeah, exactly.
They may not have even encouraged it.
Yeah.
Right? You came because you had a need of food, clothes, shelter, time, a space to be, and you were received. I think there's a couple shifts that happen. One of them is a lot of state involvement. And I think once you get state involvement, it's difficult because I think the support that's provided is good, but then the red tape and lines become super complicated. And so, sad note to say, whether you're a $30,000 a year paid school counselor or a really underpaid youth pastor.
Yeah.
One has education in psychology, the other one has cultural experience, but you're both underpaid and
that's
you're both
well said.
not able
Yeah,
to
great.
Really live it out.
Great perspective.
And so
great
there's
perspective.
Boundaries that have to be played in there. I think when you say that, my heart breaks a little bit because even now when you see churches involved, and there's several good ones, so I don't want to knock them all.
Sure.
But as an overarching concept, the concept is get someone to convert, hit that seat.
Yeah.
And you want help? Well, we have this evangelical styled conversion program
Sure.
or group to get you in.
Yeah.
And if the highest thing that you are having someone experience is conversion, you're missing all the levels they need in between. I can't even
1000%.
make a logical conceptual thought and decision if I'm homeless and worried about where I live.
Yeah.
If I'm starving and I can't even think well, and these are proven statistics, you will score lower on an IQ test, you'll make poor decisions, you won't be able to identify a problem when you're in those states. So instead of conversion here, we should actually be spending time letting people get to a place where they can healthily think, healthily understand, ask questions, and then worry about where they want to choose spiritually.
100%. No, if I were to, I talked about where I think the state goes wrong, where I
Yeah.
think the church goes wrong is exactly what you said, like conversion statistics, right? I think real organic, heart rooted conversion happens from exposure and by divine intervention. What
Yep.
you just said, right? There's no one that could tell me. Actually, that's what kept me away from the church. My first exposure and only exposure as a child of the church was in 4th grade. And I was told, become a Christian or go to hell.
Right.
And I was like, cool, I don't like that. That scares me.
Yeah.
Screw you.
Yep.
And I went the opposite, right? And then I was like anti-God.
Yeah.
Through divine intervention, sobriety, all that, I realized actually I do believe in God, right?
Yeah.
But it still took me another 15 years to get into church.
Yeah.
But through exposure, conversion happened. So the church does miss the mark a lot of times. I think when you walk in the door, it's like if you actually just give more exposure and a presence,
Yeah.
you're probably going to get better conversion.
100%. And not making it about conversion, because I'll just kind of jump on that
Yeah.
as like people have that divine experience. It's theirs to have, and whatever they believe in that. And then we have like 40,000 denominations.
Yeah.
So they all
totally.
choose to believe whatever they've chosen to believe. Some of it is not even databased in the Bible or cultural
Sure.
experience. It's just what that denomination has
Yeah.
chosen to believe, which is fine. But then having people conform to something that isn't necessarily even part of their spiritual experience.
That's where I
It's
think human error happens all the time.
Right. And that's all of us, because people can do that under psychology dogmas of things that they believe, or
Yeah.
political dogmas of things that they believe. Like, we do that over everything.
Yeah.
But if we really came down and just said, hey, how do we experience life with people? How do we be there?
Yes.
Right? The one promise that God gives us, I'm getting all biblical,
No,
but
please.
the one promise that God gives us is that he'll be there.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing else. Free will comes all the way back. And while it's not stated in the Bible, we have the option to choose all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And the one thing we want to remove from people culturally, community-wise, and in church and politically is the right to choose, the ability to choose.
Yeah.
We want to demonize you one way or another. And so it's just like this weird dichotomy that people have to hold. And
What's up, my profitable cleaners? Listen, you guys know that running a cleaning business isn't just about cleaning. It's about growth, trust, building a legacy, and making true impact. That's where Swept comes in. With Swept, it's simple, powerful. It's an app that you can track your cleaner attendance with geofence clock-ins, streamlined processes, team communication, and save hours on payroll. It's the ultimate tool designed specifically for janitorial businesses just like yours. Take control, save time, focus on what matters most, growing your business and spending time with your family. Swept. Clean better, grow faster. If you guys are interested in Swept, click the link below in the show notes and partner with one of the best in the industry.
yeah.
No, I think that's man, it's not every day I get to sit down on the show and speak about these societal dynamics.
Yeah.
And maybe what's wrong. Let's talk about a little bit of like what's good, because you
Good.
are in the communities, right?
Yep.
What are some shifts that you're seeing when it comes to the self-leadership, when it comes to these programs working? Because we can turn on the news and see what's not, right? So for someone that's in it, boots on the ground,
Yeah.
what do you actually see like shifts that are happening right now?
I'll give you a couple, and I'll start with a mantra that I've been working through with my staff for months. There is two needs that people have, and it's that freedom
Yep.
and community,
Yeah.
but they actually fight each other. So to be part of community means that you have some unified thinking approaches. You
Yeah.
have some behaviors that you all agree on that are okay. Like, you're part of a community. And then you have to give up some of that community to have freedom.
Mm.
right? Because they fight back and forth. I want to
Yeah.
be able to do what I want, how I want. And so one of the shifts that I feel like I'm seeing a lot in a healthy, good way is that okayness with we can be a community and not 100% agree on 100% of things.
Yes.
And from a mental health and community perspective, I'm seeing a lot more of that where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to hate on you politically because you voted differently or choose to see things differently. It's okay that we didn't see it on the same
Yep.
platform. We can find still reasons to agree and still respect each other.
Yep.
Same with recovery. Maybe you're doing moderation, maybe you're doing abstinence and you're just totally sober. Whatever it is that's working for you,
Sure.
like we can be okay with that and still be in community.
Yeah.
I think one of those biggest things is that when we break something that we both agree on, then I feel like I'm out.
Yeah.
But we in our community, it's more like, oh, you tried that, it didn't work. So what do you want to try now?
Yeah.
Let's do differently. So I'm seeing that not just with us, but with other organizations in a really positive way,
Yeah.
where people are feeling supported, where they can come back, where they can try and fail and try again, and that's okay. And so I'm seeing that really positively. In our community specifically, we're seeing a big uptick in helping people that are over the age of 55.
Okay.
So I don't want to call them elderly because they're not.
Sure.
They're like
Yeah.
still in life. And I mean, we have a client that's 70 years old that has been in addiction, gone through homelessness, has decades of things he was working through, loss, personal loss. And here he is, changed his life, has become sober from everything. I think he's on 12 months now. 10 or 12 months, and decided to get relicensed in as an insurance broker. That's something he had in his 30s, and now he's 70 and coming to those terms. Like that's huge of restarting a life because it's not over, right? It's not done. And
Absolutely.
so I think that's huge. We've had clients in that same age range, 65, 70, coming out of the closet for the first time, identifying this is actually who I am. And I never felt comfortable saying that with other people. And it's either just been a secret and you're like 65 years old now.
Nice.
And
Nice.
so we have people that are really owning their lives and feeling like they can manage that. And I'm seeing that across the board in some areas. I feel like we do have a huge uptick in housing that's being provided.
Yeah. Me too.
Denver, you mentioned the city of Denver.
Yeah.
They have a big program that is providing more beds because that's one thing, working with people who are unhoused and then not being able to get a bed for them somewhere
Yeah.
when they actually want to make a decision in that moment.
Yeah. That's
And there's
tough.
it's like, "Great, I want you to stay sober. Great, you're making a great choice. Now go back to your cardboard box
Yeah.
and weather the next week of winter while we try to get you somewhere."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a hard thing. So there's a bunch of shelters that are starting to open up here and there. There's not enough, but it's good. There's a huge push with substance recovery. So we have a huge, thriving substance recovery community in Denver. From that are doing social functions, that are doing community events, that are out and recovering loudly. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of programming that way.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that because I think so often we can focus in on the crisis, and sometimes when you focus on the crisis, that becomes your lens.
Yeah.
And less solution based. How does Domingo protect Domingo? And what I mean by that is you hear some shit,
Yeah.
you see some things, you hear some stories that can be draining.
Yeah.
After a while. So like, how do you also make sure your cup stays full so you can continue to give? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. From corporate America, we always talked about time balancing and logistics, that way
Yeah.
of taking care of yourself. So I had a good foundation from a corporate environment of going, how do you stay 100% on when you're training and in front of people, when you're leading groups of people and projects? Like, how do you do that? And there was a lot of time management, a lot of every yes is a no to something else. Every no is a yes to something else.
Yeah.
Right. So like like really prioritizing what that means. Getting into the mental health world, there's a lot more focus on self-care and what does actually self-care look like to you. And so for me personally, sometimes it's taking down days, because there's going to be seasons that are going to take you out of balance. So we call it counterbalancing. Hey,
Yeah.
this week's going to be really busy. So how do I leverage next week to be slower? Or we know this day is I can't make it an easy day. So how do I take my time the next day? So I do that a lot of counterbalancing. I can't structure myself where every day looks the same.
Yeah, totally.
So I counterbalance and say, yeah, today's the day I'm going to do nothing. And that's okay. I saw this on a TikTok and it's horrible, but I'll just share it. It was someone, they were kind of making a joke about how Beyonce can do all these things. And then they're like, she has a team. She has someone helping her with the kids. She has someone helping her with her hair,
Yep.
makeup, advertising, or whatever. And so I've kind of leaned into the concept of having a team. So I tell everybody, if you can have a coach, you should have a coach on whatever goals it is that you're working on.
Absolutely.
And if you can have a therapist, you should have a therapist
Yeah.
to be able to help you navigate those things. So I surround myself with a team that way.
Nice.
And then with friends that will really support the same type of self-care.
Yeah.
Right? That they'll be like, when I'm working and I'm going at it, they're like, yeah, that's great. And then they will ask, so what are you doing to take care of yourself? When's the last time you took a day off?
For
Like
sure.
our staff really kind of covers each other in that way. So those are kind of some of the things that happen there. I will also say that I've taken really proactive steps to give a couple of people license in my life to pull my card.
Okay.
To
Talk to me about it.
say, yeah, you've been working that I'm gonna take a day off soon thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or hey, you're actually not. I know you're working a lot, but that doesn't mean you're working effectively or getting things
Yeah.
done. You know, even the license of going, when was the last time you saw your therapist?
Yeah.
Or when was the last time you took some time that was just family?
Yeah. The accountability check. I think that's huge, man. I actually, anyone within my circle, hopefully they know that they have the grace to do that, because I want to be held accountable in all regards,
Yeah,
right? Because
awesome.
sometimes I'm the last to hold myself accountable. So therefore I need others too.
Or even to even realize
Yeah.
it, right?
Or if it's,
Like it's
yeah,
gone out of
exactly.
whack for so long and you're like, I've just
Totally.
been moving in autopilot.
100%, man. And I'm a big believer that behavior comes before success. And typically we get that behavior from the ones we're around, which is why environment is so freaking critical, which you know more than anyone.
Yeah.
Talk about environment around people that are struggling with addiction. Yeah,
100%.
yeah, housing, whatever the case may be. It's like change their environment. All of a sudden, you see patterns start to change.
Yeah.
And the longer they're in any type of environment, you are in any environment, you will adapt to what's around you. So like, I'm a big believer, like if you're in my circle, then like, yeah, put me on check. Then I have to check myself to be able to be in receivership for
Yes.
that.
That's always good. That's I want to get to your level, but at this point, I'm like, these are designated people that I can receive from. You might call me out, and I'll be like, no, just sit down.
Dude,
Like, I'm not ready.
the hardest people that call me out, it's the closest ones to me. It's
Yeah.
my 2 boys and my wife, right? It's like oh man, dude, it's like if one of my kids checks me on something,
Yeah.
I need to be humble enough in that moment to be in receivership, but typically I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just being brutally,
Yeah.
and same with my
Yeah.
wife. Like my first area is defense. If a coworker or a client does it because I want to look good,
Right.
I'll be in better receiver. We're all fucked, man.
It is. And there's also the levels, like, and this happens with people in different levels altogether, but family-wise specifically, you're like the adult and the father. So you're like, of course I know better. And then you have to realize, well, it doesn't mean I know better and see everything all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's not a
100%.
real thing, right? And you want to raise your
Absolutely.
boys to be men.
Yeah.
And men actually look out for each other. That way they
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. So talk to me about what challenges is Rooted 303 up against right now?
That's good. We have a good problem of balancing the incoming funds from our billables and private donations and things like that versus the actual client base we have. Part of our model is that we don't turn anyone away for their
Yeah.
inability to pay. Part of that comes from that 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to do something with someone who's not paid to be in my life. And so you want progress. And at that point, for us, the way we've translated that is going, we don't want money to be a boundary or a limiter. And so if you can't afford it, if it's not something that's covered by insurance, we do sliding scale all the way down to 0. So balancing our client base with the income coming in, it's just, I think what a lot of nonprofits have to do is really balancing their clients. So that's our biggest. We're experiencing a lot of growth that's happening. We've grown 66% in the last 6 months
Awesome.
in our client engagement and how often we're seeing people, numbers of people in our groups. And we have partnerships that are growing over the next 6 months that are going to expand us even more. So just balancing that all coming in. With this weird economy we're in, there's a huge drop in private giving and
Yeah.
donations, even from companies, where people are trying to navigate what does this mean.
Sure.
And so kind of a weird perspective.
So are you guys are obviously funded through like private gifts, donations, grants, I would imagine, and then private pay and insurance.
So yeah, we have some billables. I love to promote our private pay because we almost don't have it.
Yeah.
Because if they could pay, they probably have insurance. They probably have.
Sure.
So that sliding scale is usually down to zero.
Yeah.
So our grants, we have our private donors, we have our billable services that you mentioned, that we can include our private services in there. But we also have some contracts that we have. So maybe other people have had grants or funding dollars
Oh, cool.
where then they'll sponsor us to come
Okay,
into their
cool.
space as well.
Nice. Do you guys do any type of like company, like work with companies in terms of awareness, employee leadership, or give back, anything like that?
100%. So there's several companies that we work with where we'll come into their organizations and do training for either being trauma informed, for awareness on how to actually support people in
Yeah.
recovery, or even for their own staff, how to keep yourself healthy and move through. I think a lot of times people think of mental health and substance recovery as someone else's problem, but it's really a problem of that's what I used as my coping.
Sure.
So it's more like life problems hit, and then you choose a behavior, right? And so we want to work with people on that level. So we work with quite a few companies and offer those services.
Because I'm just thinking from like a company perspective, how valuable it doesn't have to be like all intense, right? It could
Right.
just be, I think, awareness and attention to solutions, not just problems, is
Right.
key.
100%. The other thing we do with companies, and we do this with a few companies as well as just generally in our community as a whole, all of our folks, because they're coaches, have been trained to be resource brokers. And so the reality is, like, if you went homeless tomorrow, God forbid, but if
Yeah,
something like that happened, you wouldn't know of all the resources.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you wouldn't know that, and that's okay. And your Google algorithm, that's amazing, won't find it because you weren't Googling for it before.
sure.
Where all of our staff has been Googling different resources for so long,
Yeah,
the algorithm brings up everything. We're in cohorts with other people that share resources.
yeah,
And so we do that. So what we offer to companies and generally in the community, if someone runs into a problem, call us and we'll be
yeah.
more than happy to help you find other resources, put you on a path to find some of your own
Totally.
because you didn't know about that problem until it happened.
Nice.
So.
I think that's, yeah, I think that's huge. And if you guys are listening to this right now, obviously we have a global audience, but we're gonna link everything that Domingo's doing in the show notes below.
Awesome.
Check it out, and not just check him out, but check out what Rooted 303 is doing. Because when I sat in that chamber event, I was like, man, this is different. It's just not a typical like, hey, this is the services we offer. It felt like there was a genuine aspect to it. So, are you involved in multiple different chambers?
Right now, I'm only involved in one. There's
Right.
two more that I'd like to join, but
Yeah.
I haven't had time capacity to jump into them. But I feel like the chambers as a whole have been so beneficial in just providing support and connections with all the right people.
So talk to me about that a little. Are
Yeah.
you, I should know this. Are you like, were you just hosting that day, or are you the president of the chamber? Or
Both. I was hosting
okay,
that day,
here we
and I'm
go.
the president of the Englewood Chamber of Commerce.
Nice. Okay, so a lot of people that listen to this show, this is one of the most common random questions we get.
Okay.
Facility service professionals always wanting to like figure out new ways to get business.
Yeah.
Right. And we get the question: is joining a chamber of commerce worth it? We have gotten that question more than I can remember throughout the course of this show. So what would your message be to someone that's like, doesn't matter where they're at, everyone has a local chamber.
Yeah.
Should they be involved, and why?
So that's a great question. I think that a chamber is always awesome. Like it's always awesome to join a chamber to be aware of things because the chambers will work with the cities and the counties and they'll be able to go hand in hand and share more information than you would just normally know.
Absolutely.
So they'll keep you updated on what's going on in your area. If you're working with a lot of facilities managers, like they know which businesses are coming in.
Exactly.
So they'll be able to share that more openly, even in a celebratory way, but they can also connect you. So they can be a middleman for you.
Yep.
Like any networking thing, you have to choose your level of investment. So I'll use the Englewood Chamber of Commerce because I'm more actively
yeah.
involved with them. But they do promotions and newsletters and they do email blasts and social media blasts.
Yep.
They do all these things so it's publicity for you.
Totally.
So if you are actually strategic enough to say, hey, this is even what I'm looking for. Maybe I'm looking to hire some people.
There you go.
They can actually advertise for you that you're hiring.
Yeah.
And they have a bigger bandwidth and a bigger
Yeah.
network. So there's a great number of promotions that can happen there. And then, of course, if you attend more events,
Yeah.
your face is seen, you're known more. A lot of the chamber events are a lot more casual.
Yeah.
So you can
I would
actually
agree.
go and kind of network casually. I'm gonna have a couple conversations,
Yep.
talk. So your level of engagement can be what you have capacity for. But I would encourage you to go, or anybody to go, hey, what does this chamber offer? So I'm gonna sign up, and yes, I'm gonna send them my blip, my information, whatever I'm advertising.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, it's a really minimal investment too for
Yeah,
a big return in terms of relationships, revenue, the whole nine, right?
yeah.
Just visibility. So I attended literally the I guess I got hit with the Englewood Chamber. Hey, come join us for coffee event.
Yeah,
And that's where I met at your office,
yeah,
and there was all these other chamber members there. And look, it led to this conversation.
yeah.
Um,
100%.
I've had other conversations from just that one meeting. I was like, man, I'm big on community,
Yeah,
but don't just talk about it, be about it.
right.
And it's like I need to get more involved and be about it,
Yeah.
right? So I guess to that point, since we have been asked that, is joining a local chamber worth it? I'm like, how can it hurt?
Yeah, it definitely won't hurt. And I would say a couple of proactive steps will make any chamber effective for you.
Yeah,
Again, a couple things that you might want to advertise, even if it's just your service. Do a ribbon cutting, gets
yeah,
attention. It doesn't even matter if you have your own space, virtual space,
sure,
they can help you coordinate
totally,
that. Again, it gives more reasons for publicity
yeah,
and more advertising that way. The last thing I'll say is if you're in facilities, if you own property, things like that, you can always work through a chamber to get to the right people in the city. So
totally,
they've already done the footwork for you. So if you can be like, hey, I'm running into this thing or I want to expand this thing, who in the city can I talk to? They'll connect you to the committees and things like
absolutely.
that.
What's your responsibility as the president of the chamber? Like what?
We
Talk to me
have an
about that.
amazing executive director, and so you didn't meet her because she wasn't there at the time. But Lindsay is great, and so my responsibility is more helping steer the ship and
Yeah,
make sure things are ordered and organized in that respect. But she does so much that she just keeps it going. So my responsibilities don't feel crazy heavy. We also have a great board of directors, and you'll see that multiple members of the board at almost every chamber event,
yeah,
and they represent so well, and they are all about helping the businesses in the chamber thrive.
nice.
So they'll do connecting for you as well. If you share what you do, they'll probably share who they think you should meet with.
Yeah,
And so it's a great connecting way that way. So the Inglewood Chamber has been great in that way, and it's not too crazy of a lift.
awesome, awesome. I love hearing that, man. I love like getting behind the scenes and all of that. Last thing for you here, Domingo.
Yeah.
Well, last thing ish. I always
Ish.
say
I
that.
like that.
What's out of everything we've talked about here today, which is pretty vast and we've covered a lot, what's one message you'd want to leave people with? And then a follow up to that is how can people support what you're doing, find out more about what you're doing, just so there can be follow up after this
Awesome.
show?
Um, so I think if there's one thing I would say is that you just don't have to go at it alone. Like for us, we're not territorial. So if you call and the help that you need is somewhere else, we'll be happy to connect you. We don't even keep a waiting list. We'll connect you to other organizations that do that thing that you need, as opposed to have you wait for support. We will do that. So you just don't have to go at it alone. We are a community-based organization. Again, I'll just say that one more time, because even if what you need is a group to support you because your loved one is struggling with mental health or addiction, we have that. Even if you're a mom, we have parenting groups. If the support that you need is about being a healthy parent, great, we're there for you. We want people to feel supported. Those tools that we use for mental health are good across the board. So it really isn't about when you have a problem. It's like build your toolkit up, and you don't have to
Awesome.
do it alone. And again, we are not that type of organization where we are begging you for the dollar first.
Yeah.
We want to support you in what you need first and work from there.
Awesome.
Supporting us wise, thank you for asking that, because I'm a bad business owner when it comes to that aspect. That's the last thing I think about as a whole, but it's the thing we need. We do sponsorships, annual sponsorships that then we can advertise different businesses, and we'll advertise you at our signature events like our upcoming gala in September. We'd love to see as many people come out to that. You'll see all that on the website, and I'll
Nice.
share some information with you. But we also, that annual sponsorship allows us to advertise you all year long. So we
Nice.
get you out to our base of people who support us, and the majority of them are not necessarily our clients, right? 'Cause those aren't the people that have all the funds for some of these services, but we have such a broad network of individuals that support us that are part of our tribe. So we get to advertise that out that way. Also, just being a part. We do community events, cookouts at different places. We all do food drives for other places. We support a lot. We do volunteer activities that's open to the entire community, workshops that are open to the entire community. So I would say be a part of, if you can't financially support, being part of something like that.
Awesome. Well, Domingo, one, thank you for your service to the community. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. Let's fill up his sponsorships here, especially for that gala coming up in September.
Really awesome.
We'll make sure that this episode releases before that. Where's the gala hosted at?
It's at the Village Co-work and Event Center
Nice.
off of Havana, and it's a great space.
Nice.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, count me in. I'll be there, man.
Awesome.
And I think we'll have to do. I know this is going to get a lot of feedback and questions, so we might have to do a part 2 to this show, man. But thank you, brother, for your time, and until next time, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
for having me.